and welcome back to my channel, Lydia Lost the Plot. I have had a week off, which has been incredible. It's been so nice just to enjoy the sunshine and be out in the garden and be reading lots of books. I have got incredibly sunburned. You should see my white bits. But other than that, wear sunscreen, by the way. But other than that, it has been a lovely week off. And I'm trying to, with this channel, give myself the grace to have time off when I need it, making sure I'm looking after myself, making sure that I'm allowing time to read and that it's not just all about content creation and things like that. So it has been a really welcome break. We are at the end of the month and I can't actually believe that. I feel like May has just flown by. It's been quite full of things, full of fun things really, but full of stuff. So I think that always helps in terms of making it feel like it's going quite fast. And I think that coming up into June, we've got loads of really fun stuff planned for this channel, and I've got loads of books that have just come out or I've got proofs of that I'm super excited about, and I will tell you about them in due course. But I think it's going to be a really good month. So in terms of wrapping up May, it was a great reading month. I think that I didn't really have any books that I disliked. I didn't DNF anything, which was great. And the books that I did read, there are a few that have now become either new authors that I want to explore the backlist of, or authors that are tried and tested and that didn't let me down. Stephen King. So it has been a very good month. So I'll talk you quickly through the books that I've read. If you want to look back at any of my weekly wrap-ups, every Sunday I do a weekly wrap-up, apart from the last Sunday of the month, where it will be something like this in the week. But every week I try and do a weekly wrap up of my reading, and we talk about the things, bookish news, things that have happened, anything like notable in the literary world that we might want to discuss, and we chat about it on here. So if that's something that you'd like to look at, you can go back, explore my backlist of videos, or you can just stay tuned, subscribe, and you'll get them weekly updates every single Sunday, apart from if I'm having a bit of time off. So moving on to the books that I read, I do have them beside me, though not in order, obviously, because that would be too organised. The first book that I read was Lisey's Story by Stephen King. A fantastic story, a brilliant exploration of womanhood, grief, loss, and had some fantastic magical realist elements, had some wonderful fantasy elements, and was actually really creepy. It was such a great experience. It was so nice to dive back into an author that I love. I think sometimes I get caught up, and I think this happens with everyone, but you get caught up in the hype of new authors, new fiction, especially if you create content like I do, or you follow along with a lot of content creators. It tends to be what's coming up next, what's the most exciting thing, you know, the new releases all of the time. But actually, to go back and explore some of the backlist titles from your favourite authors is one of my favourite things. And especially if you might not be feeling great, or if you're in a reading slump, going back to these is it's just exactly what you need. So I had a great time reading this book. It's a chunkster, it's proper thick, but I enjoyed every page and I couldn't put it down, which I think just sums up how great this book was. So that was the first book I read in May. I then moved straight and swiftly on to Justin Cronin's The Ferryman, another great sort of science fiction novel. It's got some fantasy elements, although I would say it's predominantly science fiction. It was a Waterstones book of the month, and it's so much fun. It was blurred by Stephen King, so I thought I was onto a winner, and boy was I. It was incredible. It was so much fun. It was a book that keeps you keeps you guessing, it keeps you engaged. There are fantastic characters, a fantastic concept, and it's a book for if you are looking for something, a fantasy or let's say a science fiction novel, that's not too heavy on the sci-fi, but all about character exploration, and maybe you're a bit new to the genre. I cannot recommend this enough. It's so incredible. Justin Cronin's writing style is delectable. You could eat it. It's so good. And I'm not going to stop talking about him and talking about this great book, because in my bookshop I have sold so many of these by just being enthusiastic about it, because it's so much fun. And yeah, don't let the fact that it's a science fiction book put you off. If you are into the literary stuff, if you're into character, this is the book for you. So it's incredible. That was the next book that I read. Sorry if you can hear my washing machine, but you know, needs must. The next book that I finished this month was The Secret Lives of Church Ladies by Disha Philyor, a fantastic short story collection. And it was recommended to me by Greg. It's supposedly fun. This is his beloved, and I can see why. It is incredible. Such a wonderful array of characters, a brilliant scope of story, of narrative. She plays the structure really well, and you will never look at Peach Cobbler the same. But I loved this book. It took me quite a while to read it because I was dipping in and out of it story by story. I tried not, with short stories, I try not to, collections, I try not to binge them, because I find that sometimes it makes them forgettable. So I try to eat them out, but I really had to ration myself and pace myself because I just wanted to devour this. It was so good, and I can't wait to read what other things Disha Philyor has in store for us, because I think that they're going to be incredible if this is anything to go by. Next up was a little bit of smut, was Sinner by Sierra Simone, a absolutely rollicking romp. Can I say that? I can. I have. A rollicking romp. It was such a fun book. It had been on my sort of to finish list. I'd half started it and left it for about a year. I mean, it was ridiculous. And I've told myself by the end of this year, I don't want to have any half-read books. I want to have got everything off and start with a clean slate. So yeah, so I got this, I finished it. I'm glad I finished it. It was fun, it was enjoyable. If you know you're loving the Bridgerton vibes, you know, I love Colin and Penelope, I really do. If you're loving stuff like that, you like a bit of romance, you like a bit of spice, a lot of spice, then this is the book for you. It's really fun, it's enjoyable. It's not going to win any awards, but you know what? It's not all about the awards, is it? I then read What I'd Rather Not Think About by Gente Postuma, a fantastic, beautifully heart-rending novel about a set of twins, and the brother kills himself, and it's about, well, basically it's about the other twin, his surviving sister, dealing with that, and how it can completely shatter your illusions of who you are and your identity, and how you need to continue to live. It's just so good. I'm sad that it didn't win the International Booker Prize, but I'm glad that it was shortlisted, because I hopefully this has put it on some people's radar, because it certainly did for me. I wouldn't have gone for it had I not known about it from that prize. And I do want to get to Kairos by, I think it's Jenny Erpenbeck. I do want to get to that eventually, which was the eventual winner, but I do think that this is a great addition to that shortlist, and hopefully people will be more inclined to try it. because it's just incredible. If you want to know more of my in-depth thoughts, like I said, check out that weekly reading wrap up. I always talk about the books a bit more in depth in those videos, and obviously it definitely affected me, and it was full of all of the stuff that I love. You know, it was talking unashamedly about grief, about death, about tragedies, about everything that I love. It makes me sound unhinged. I might be quite unhinged, to be honest. I probably am. Right, hang on. Brew break before I talk you through this last book. Yeah, it's good brew. It's good brew. So the last book that I am currently reading, so I'm recording this on the Monday, so I'm hoping that by, I think the last day of May is Wednesday, I don't know, let's assume it is. I'm hoping that I will have finished this, so I am going to include it in this wrap up. I don't normally do this in advance. Usually I would wait until the end, but I figured I've got time, the sun is shining, I've got some light, you can actually see me for once, so I thought I'd best get my wrap up done today. So I'm hoping that this will be finished by the end of May. That is my aim, and usually I achieve them, so hopefully that will be all right. But the last book that I will be reading in May is Sociopath by Patrick Gagney. Oh my gosh, is this incredible. Whew. So it is a memoir, and Patrick is a diagnosed sociopath. I mean, just that in itself is incredibly interesting. So she explores her life, and through her memoir and through her stories, we find out what it's like really to live in a sociopathic mind. It means that she doesn't feel things the same way that you know, it's hard to put it, but maybe not regular people, but do you know what I mean? Like neurotypical people feel. She doesn't feel that way, and the way that she behaves at the moment, I'm still in her childhood, so the way that she behaves and acts out and reacts to people around her is so unique and so interesting. I really love to read about neurodiverse people, and I think that, you know, a lot of times in society we look at sociopathy and people that are sociopaths as somehow violent people, negative people, people that can't create strong relationships, or people that can't love people. And this debunks a lot of those stereotypes, which I think is so important. And also, it's really fascinating to read from someone's perspective who looks at things in a completely different way than you do. And I also noticed that in some ways, I think some of the ways that she looks at life are actually probably make more sense than the way that that emotionally regulated people do. And so it's just been a fascinating read. I was talking to a colleague about it at work in the bookshop the other day, and I was waxing lyrical, as I do, couldn't shut me up, about how great this book was. And a woman came over and she was like, "What book is this? Like, can I buy it?" And I sold it through just talking about it, which shows just how interesting this was. And that, you know, I think I want it to be on people's radar, because this is a book that I've never read this kind of perspective before, ever. And she writes really eloquently and with a sort of objective viewpoint of her own behaviour, which I think is so hard to do in memoir, because they're so subjective, and you know, you never quite know what is fact, what is fiction. But with her, there's is a different line. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was incredible. So I'm really excited to finish this, and I think that it will be up there on my books of the year. I know I've gone that far, but it's been incredible so far. Looking forward to June. There are a couple of books that are definitely there are definitely a couple of books that are definitely going to be on my TBR. Who knows? and I'm very excited to share with you. So stay tuned for the next instalment, because I will be telling you all about the books that I've hauled in May. And thank you for watching. I hope to see you again soon. Thank you so much for being here with me and for listening to my rants. I hope I've added some books to your TBR pile. Please comment down below the best book that you read in May, so I can also add it to my TBR. And I hope you've enjoyed Losing the Plot today. So thank you and goodbye.